Squid Game Season 2 is upon us. I've
is.
been away for a few days, so I only got the chance to watch like the first 3 episodes before I went. And yeah, so I don't know where it's all heading, but I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on how it compares to Season 1 and whether it was worth doing. Because the impression I'm getting is like they're just doing the same thing over again, and I don't know why.
So, like, nice and spoiler-free. You know, you would have been able to tell already. It's not had the impact Season 1 had. It's it's almost disappeared already, which is like, ooh. A lot of choices narratively that a lot of people don't think works, and a lot of contrivances to make certain events happen where it's just like maybe everyone was right and that you should have dropped it with that first season being real solid and real. You know, but there, you know, I'm not gonna lie. There've been highlights. There's some performances and story beats that are like really awesome, and you can tell the writer still has some punch, but it's just nowhere near hitting as hard. And I don't know. You can sort of feel it really sag when you. For anybody who doesn't know, and this is fair warning to you, drinker, as well, and to everybody, it is a cliffhanger, half a season.
Yeah,
right.
You're not getting a full season, which. The big thing I think that is fair criticism is they did not market that way. Like you're expecting to get a season story, but you're not getting that.
That's what I was expecting when I watched it. But then it ended.
I would say
I was very confused.
The figure ends on, you'll feel very much like, well, what about this, and that, and this, and well, okay, next year, I guess, fine. Which I don't find that satisfying with a lot of cliffhanger endings that split into 2 parts. You can do it way better than that. But this is definitely a please come back next year. We are not done. You want to see what happens, don't you? You're like, okay.
I mean, it really did strike me with Season 1. Like the novelty value is what got people attached to it. It's like, oh, this is quite a cool story. It's like an interesting moral dilemma that you put the characters in. What would you do in that situation? Like risk it all for this chance to change your life. That's fair enough. But that's a card you can only play once, and the novelty is now lost. Like if you're just doing the same thing again, and the hook now is like, well, you've got this one character who's done it before, and he's trying to prevent the same thing happening again, but it kind of does. That's not really enough to get you interested again.
Yeah. You know what it reminds me of? Not in terms of premise or anything, but you remember when Season 1 of Jessica Jones was such a hit, and then they tried to go back to the well, and the whole time I'm just thinking, okay, you adapted the only worthwhile Jessica Jones story that has ever existed, the Purple Man story. Yeah. What are you going to do after this? As it turns out, the answer was nothing. Absolutely nothing. And the same thing happened here. It sounds very, very familiar.
Part of the problem with Season 2 is that Season 1 ends with a pledge with Ji-hun, the protagonist of that, and the decisions that he makes throughout Season 1 culminate in a final decision that he makes at the end of Season 1, where you think that he's going in a particular direction, and Season 2 begins with that, but you sort of get blue-balled at the end of Season 2 because he doesn't get to fulfill the pledge that he made at the end of Season 1. But part of what made Season 1 so compelling is that he goes on such a significant character arc as a broken man addicted to gambling that's lost contact with his daughter. He's extremely selfish, and he becomes I don't know, like a beacon of humanity at the end, where and you see the contrast between that and his best friend, who at the start is like loved by his community, but sort of regresses as there's more money sort of put into the pot. And and there's other fantastic characters that you sort of learn to love as we learn more about them in the quieter moments of Season 1. Whereas in Season 2, I don't care about any of the characters, and the one character that I did care about doesn't change. He's pretty much the same same character he was at the end of Season 1. So Season 2 was a major letdown for me.
Well,
it's a shame that it's a shame that it's gotten to that point. I don't think any of us like went into Season 2 of Squid Game like thinking this is going to be, this is going to redefine the series, or it's going to like really build on Season 1. I think the best we could have hoped for is going to be, it's a decent enough follow up to Season 1. Retelling a story that didn't really need to be told, but okay. Whereas it seems like it's more just a kind of disappointing cash grab follow-up that was capitalizing on the success that they totally did not expect from season one. I did like how they obviously realized the whole like fucking pink hair thing was a bad idea because they did away with that in the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's funny, dude.
That was funny. That was
so
funny.
there's a lot of people commented as well, like how much older the main character looks. Like, you know, there's a lot of jokes like that's what the acolyte will do to you, man. But I assume it's just like I get the impression that the actors lost a bit of weight in between seasons, and that can sometimes age you quite a bit when you're at a certain age, you know. And I think that was all it was. But yeah, the difference is quite noticeable in this.
You know, it's there's a lot of directions they could have taken it, and there's a lot of better ways they could have written the story as they have. But generally speaking, I've noticed a significant amount of disappointment from the audience, and it is a tough act to follow somewhat. There was probably a way they could have done it that we'd right now be saying like easy recommendation, go check it out. But like I'm actually kind of withholding recommendation. I want to see season 2 part 2 before I'd say it's worth seeing. You know?
Yeah, I feel the same way because wait, did I? Yeah, watch it all in one go because I wanted to finish watching before I went over to Mahler's. So I watched it like in one go, and it's like some parts was like, oh, this is pretty good. I enjoyed this, and then in other parts I just drifted off, started doing other things, and it's like, oh wait, I'm still watching the show here in some bits, and it's like, oh, this is another good thing, and then it ended, and I was like, oh, well, did I like this or did I not? It's like
There are just plot lines without payoffs. There's a sequence of scenes, and you're like, so what happened with that? And you're like, not going to find out until next year. And it's like, well, that feels very empty right now, you know, as an experience. Like,
That's the frustrating thing because I was super invested in season 1. Like the characters were really interesting, and it, you know, as you progress through the episodes, it becomes obvious that like a lot, if not all, of these people are going to die. It's just a question of how and when, and you do care about them because they're interesting people, and you want them to make it. I haven't felt that with this season so far. I know I'm only a few episodes in, but already I'm just like, yeah, they're kind of just caricatures, and a lot of them are just like kind of assholes, and I don't really care if they make it or not. And I suspect that's going to be a thing that continues.
There's some people I care somewhat for, but I kind of agree with Niet that it's season 1. It's kind of hard to compare because the cast in that were a hell of a lot stronger, I think. But again, I'm talking about half a story, you know. For all I know, it can improve significantly or get much worse depending on how they end this story or can, you know, develop. Because for the record, like a lot of the Squid Game participants, I may not know what the point of several of them even is yet because I haven't been given that material. So it's hard to speak on it, you know?
So it's that cliffhangery where it just leaves you completely hanging.
I warn people, if you found the Spider-Verse cliffhangery stuff frustrating, this will frustrate you.
It's a good comparison. Yeah, that is a good comparison, actually. Yeah.
I think it's fine if like the B and C plots are unresolved, but the main plot is also the A plot is unresolved in this as well.
It's fine to have a broad story that's not complete, but you need to give us some closure and satisfaction on the other stories that are happening. If you're going to make this a season,
because this isn't season 2 part 1. It's meant to be an entire complete season, so there should be a narrative arc to it that gives you some sort of closure.
It is in the sense that that is absolutely what you receive entertainment-wise. It is part 1 for sure. I think you're gonna, even with me saying this, Drinker, I think you're still gonna be like, "Wow, that was lame." And I'll be like, "Yeah,